So here's a different vehicle for you today. If you don't know what this is, I'll tell you. This is basically in the US we had the Suzuki Samurai, as well as the Geo Tracker. But in Japan, Suzuki calls this a JIMNY. Real difference between the US version of this and the Japanese version is the drivetrain. Instead of having the crappy 3-cylinder Geo motor that was offered here, it's like a 1.3 liter I think, or something like that. Either way, regardless of that crap motor is junk. This motor is actually pretty cool. This is only a 660cc, but it's intercooled and turbo, so it's really different. Now, under the hood, let's see if we can take a look here. The hood pop is here. You can see this tiny little motor. And when I say tiny, I mean it's just absolutely minuscule. It's a little tiny 660cc. I mean, look at my hand. It's the size of my hand. It's tiny. And with such a small motor, you can imagine the fuel efficiency is pretty good. These things get about 30 miles per gallon, maybe a little more depending on how you drive it. Little intercooler, again, size of my hand. Everything is just tiny, tiny, tiny. And the turbo, that thing is one of the smallest turbos I've ever seen. I mean, literally way smaller than my hand, like a couple of fingers. It's a finger long. It's tiny. In case you haven't noticed, the theme for this little thing is tiny. Tiny but mighty. These trucks, I'm gonna call it a truck. It's a little truck. And we had to pay a truck tax on it, so we might as well call it a truck. These little trucks are straight axle, 4-wheel drive with a impressive crawling gear. You can get them to go 0. I mean, just idling in first gear in 4 low is literally crawling inches. So a really sweet off-roady little truck. And interior is pretty spacious considering how small it is. It's got room for 2 in the back and some extra cargo if you want to carry some stuff. It's got a little room for that too. You gotta get the key. We'll unlock that. You can see sporting the turbo badge there. Just a really cool little truck. I have a Suzuki Carry truck, which is the truck version, I guess you want to call it. But this is really sweet because it's enclosed, so you can put stuff in here. This is a metal top, or a tin top they call them. So the Samurais came here, the early models came tin top, but the later model ones all had a soft top. So this is cool because it's an all metal body. It's got this little glass window thing here, but it's kind of interesting. And there you can see the gearbox lever. So really cool. This one especially is pretty nice. Clearly it's been painted. It's black, but it's been repainted black again. And under the body is no rust at all. It's been, you can tell this thing's been taken care of, or just not been taken off-road. The exhaust system's not rusted. The axles aren't rusted. The suspension isn't rusted. Everything is just pretty clean. And by Japanese car standards, that's pretty rare. So anybody who picks this thing up is going to be pretty happy, considering its condition versus some of the other examples that are out there. it's mostly original. You know, very little has been done to it. These are covers, but you can clearly see that the factory seats have been left intact underneath them, so it's kind of a cool little extra. I mean, they don't look bad. I'm sure they look better than the factory design, but if you wanted to be a purist and take those off, you end up with the factory seats. Roll up windows. This has AC as well, which is a good option to have on one of these. So now I'm gonna go ahead and just take it for a little spin, and we'll talk about all the power this bad boy makes. Turbo. Starts right up. Could use some shifter bushings, but still does what it needs to do. So driving this thing is, first of all, the area inside the vehicle is not that small. It's, you know, it doesn't feel as claustrophobic as the K cars, as the Cappuccino and some of the other cars I've driven. It doesn't feel quite as claustrophobic, and I think that's because of the headroom. It has quite a bit of headroom with this like raised roof, so that's kind of a plus. But drivability wise, I mean, it actually moves pretty well actually, so it gets out of its own way. I would not hesitate to take this out on the main road. I wouldn't want to go on a cross-country trip, but it could do it for sure. It's definitely not outside of its realm. The K-Truck, on the other hand, I definitely would not recommend it. I think top speed on the K-Truck is only like maybe 65 miles an hour, and that's like flat out completely just going as crazy fast as you could possibly go. This thing has no problem getting up to 65, 70 miles an hour for sure. You can see it revs out nicely, no misfire, and it runs good. Odometer shows 72,000 miles. I'm sure that's 172 at this point. Could even be 272 for all I know. But definitely not 72,000. But it's in really good shape. That's the most important part. The steering is not sloppy. It has no like slack in the bushings or anything like that. The springs don't feel, you know, bad at all. Everything feels like it should. And I'm gonna put her into four-wheel here. We'll go on a little mini off-road just to test out the four-wheel. All right, so first thing you need to do when you're gonna put this little bad boy in four-wheel drive is you gotta run the locks. These are manual axle locks. So most modern cars, you have a button that you push for four-wheel drive inside. These, you gotta get out, turn this to lock. See, it goes from free to lock. When it's lined up there, you're ready to go. We did that on both sides. So now we'll come in here. It tells you how to do it in Japanese, I'm sure, but I can't read that. Anyway, we're in neutral now, so we're gonna take the shift lever for the transfer case, which is in 2 high right now, and we're going to pull it down and push it up. That's 4 low now. So now we're gonna have some crawling action here. So this is now foot off the gas, and you can see we are moving. Absolutely crazy slow. I'm sure there's some that are slower with, like, you know, gear reduction boxes and stuff, but I mean, I can get out. I can get out. There it goes. Ghost riding the whip. It's going so slow, I mean, I can just walk right back up to it without even... I'm gonna do a full walk around. Look at that. Don't try this at home. Full walk around. There she goes. Is that cool or what? It's not gonna get stuck, especially in four-wheel drive. But we can just hop right back in like nothing ever happened. So 4-wheel drive definitely works. We're gonna go ahead and, well, I say 4-wheel drive works, the transfer case definitely gets down there. And you can see that tire kicking up a little bit of dirt. And I'll show you that it's working. She gets moving. So funny, you can hear the turbo. I'm gonna go ahead and plop it back out at 4-wheel drive now. So now we're back in 2-wheel drive. And we've got good speed again. So if you're interested in one of these, definitely consider it. A really fun little truck. Got space for your camping stuff or your dogs or whatever you want to pile back there. If you're a moonshiner and you're just moving liquor, white lightning across the mountains, whatever. Great little truck. Definitely a fun little ride. And if you're interested in this one in particular, it is available. So don't hesitate to give us a call. Check out the website, horsepowerlogic.com, and let me know if this is something that you'd like to have, because I like it.